perspective and all that, getting hit multiple times. Coming out of that bike section, more drivers coming to blows.
Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 4 of this season, coming to you today from Watkins, Glen. My name is Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell. Guido Marzucchi is our producer for today's broadcast. Well, Charles, it has been a little while since we saw a Weekend Warriors race here at Watkins, Glen, but this old school American track is personally one of my favorites here on the iRacing platform. I absolutely adore it, even though I'm probably a bit more impartial to running on the Cup layout just because turn 9 around this track is my version of hell. I still really adore this place, and I think we're going to have a good one today.
Yeah, absolutely, Ron. This is my favorite track, and it's not even close. I just absolutely love running here. I'll probably put more laps on this track in various cars than any car or track in the iRacing service. Just fantastic. Just makes for some really good racing. And we haven't been here in a minute. Used to run this quite frequently. I guess it's back on the schedule for a few seasons. So we'll enjoy it while we can. And I think I like especially for these cars. I think the Cup layout is or the classic Cup layout as well without the inner loop is just fantastic. a little bit longer lap here with the boot and the bus stop combined. So it's going to be fun racing, though, and we'll be looking forward to a fantastic race.
Yeah, and just another race from this awesome schedule that we have here for Season 3 of 2025 in the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors. The Weekend Warriors schedules usually remaining more or less unchanged from the D-Class Formula 1600 series here on the iRacing platform, and the schedule that we have to look forward to throughout the rest of the summer. Really, really nice. Next time out, we're going to be running at Road Atlanta, Laguna Seca, Long Beach, VIR will follow in a nice little stretch of American racetracks here throughout the summer. But I personally like it, and we have some very, very good ones to look forward to. Bathurst, Sonoma, Oshersleben, and Donington will round off this season. We've had a good one, though, up to this point through the first 3 rounds. And with that being said, let's take a quick on-gander at the championship point standings heading into this 4th round of the championship. I'll start by taking a look at Spec 1, where Mikey Pollard has been able to jump out into the points lead. 284 points on the board as it stands presently. Reigning champion Daniel Tufts is slotted in P2, which is a little bit surprising because Daniel Tufts has 2 wins up to this point in this season, but consistency proving to be king for Mikey Pollard. Felix Samoas, who has 1 win, that coming at the Red Bull Ring 2 weeks ago, rounds out your top 3 with Edward Buchanan and Jerome Rodemaker completing your top 5 in Spec 1. I'll take another look here at Spec 2, where Jason Shen has been the force to be reckoned with up to this point here in this season. Had his winning streak snapped the last time out, as it was Aid Allen grabbing the checkered flag last time at Summit Point, but with 2 wins to kick the season off, he sits at a nice 205 points, top of the standings presently in that 814 car. Andrew Love slotted in P2. Aid Allen, who I just referenced a couple of moments ago, is your 3rd place car in Spec 2. Raymond Breakenoff and Christopher Melton round out to top 5 in Spec 2. And Charles, I always feel bad when I take all the points, so I'll let you take Masters, where it's looking once again good for not bad Tonio Wolveronio now this season.
Wolveronio, Antonio Reese leading the Masters class, 245 points. Alan DeGassis in 2nd, having a good season so far with 208. Jeff Webker in 3rd. Very tight between Webker, Webster, Stevie Ray. Only 5 points separating those 3 drivers in 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Peter Maddox, Jorg Monty, and Brad Cathcart round out your Masters class.
And pretty compelling championship battles that we've got in all 3 of our classes. And a nice grid of racers right now. You can see the likes of Mikey Pollard, Edward Buchanan making up your provisional front row. Jorg Monty, your top qualifier of the Masters racers presently, with Jason Shen currently qualified in 6th as it stands currently. Still about 4 minutes left to go here in this qualifying session, and looking through around this track, these drivers having to tackle what is going to be a tough round. Watkins Glen is a tough enough racetrack as is. 12 turns in all, a tick under 3.5 miles, and about 2 minutes for the lap times for these racers as well. And I think those problems are compounded by the fact that we're looking at 104-degree track temperatures, which is going to be a rather boiling race for these drivers behind the helmet. They will have to struggle for the grip. The pit entry as well, super vital around this track as well. We'll probably touch on that here in a couple of moments time. As we continue on with this qualifying session, I think we'll be jumping on board with an onboard lap with the 666 of Aid Allen, currently qualified in 12th at the present moment, as he heads his way down into turn number 12. Charles, I'll let you take this onboard lap with Aid Allen.
Absolutely. As we come down the front stretch, Aid Allen in that Welch Dragon 666 car. So we head down the start-finish line. This is your long run of the track. Good long run down into turn 1. Great passing opportunity, but you have to be very careful as you takes a lot of that inside curb. And just over the outside curb, that's just about the perfect line through turn 1 there. Might have been a little wide on exit as we work our way up through the S's. Coming up the hill, it's nice, slow, winding corners, and you're going to be flat out through here. Very, very tricky. We'll talk about that in the keys to the race a little bit later. As we head down the next run, you want to have that momentum really, built up as you come through the S's to get another run, another passing opportunity down here in the inner loop, affectionately known as the bus stop. Clobbering all those curbs. You got to be careful on these exit curbs here. Very, very tricky on that car as we work our way around the outer loop, or the carousel as some people call it. And we'll take that run down. Nice camber to that corner as we have a run down into the chute. downhill braking zone, left-hander, all the way around almost 180 degrees as we work our way down another little short run into I believe this is the toe. So we'll hop into the toe of the boot here and work our way back up, and you see a little uphill climb there as we get up to the top of this crest. It'll be flat all the way down till we get to the hill, and we'll make that nice right-hander. We're going to break about the 150 to 100 board. So you see them get that car nice and turned in. Lots of camber there as well, plenty of runoff as well. That's one of the changes they've made recently to that track. We work our way around tricky turn 9. This is Ron's favorite corner here, and it is very difficult because of the way that the corner's cambered with the NASCAR straight adjoining there. Through our little short run here in the penultimate corner, flat through that corner. You will be very careful. Obviously, plenty of runoff as well on the outside. And the final corner there, hard run back down, and that's a lap of Watkins Glen. Obviously, fantastic circuit. These cars are almost flat out all the way around, but there's a couple of good braking opportunities to make some as we'll go to the keys to the race. As I said, you want to avoid drama, especially in the S's and in the inner loop. It's very easy to go side by side through here. It's also very easy to collect a lot of cars as you're going side by side through here. So you have to be very vigilant as you're making sure you keep your racing line. It's real easy to get wheel-to-wheel contact and crash everybody. Plenty of corners, as I said, for passing attempts. The run down turn 1, the chute. You can even make a couple little turns down or little passes into the heel there, especially with cars that have a tendency to run wide if you overspeed. And then finally, the off tracks. There are a few places where it's really easy to get an off track. Bus stop being one, the inner loop, turn 1 as well, turn 9 as well. That turn 10. Where you've got all that wide runoff area. You can take it wide, but then you have to come back at a certain point to get back to the track. So off tracks could be a decision maker in your finishing position today.
Yeah, so we'll just have to wait and see what sort of challenges these drivers will be able to excel in tackling, or which ones will catch at the most amount of racers here. That pit entry probably going to be the one that I look at for the most, but lap 1 going to be tricky as well. Important to get a good starting spot for sure here at Watkins Glen, and Jerome Rodemaker set to do that right now. Currently a provisional pole sitter with the checkered flag now out in qualifying. The driver of the 69 car, currently a provisional pole sitter, does not decide to take another lap. He pulls into pit lane. That looked like a sketchy moment. What would be the over-under of a driver hitting the pit barrels here today? That's a question I've got in my head.
Yeah, it's probably 60-40 would be my guess. 60% chance that somebody's going to clobber those water barrels on the end of the pit wall. As you said, it is tricky. It's more tricky in traffic, obviously, because you're trying to drop off the racing line and slow down. So if you've got any traffic around you, that's going to present a problem. So yeah, that's something we'll have to watch out for. Hopefully everybody gets that sorted. We don't have issues like that. But yeah, sometimes it is hard to get slowed down properly and still have a good pit entry or lap. You know, as we're working our way through, as we see Stevie Ray finishing up qualifying here. He's going to pull over here in the outside of turn 1 and park it. And I think that's the last car on the track.
I think there's only a couple more left, but just about everybody has gotten their qualifying session taken care of. So it looks like Jerome Rodemaker will start this race from the pole. The Dutch driver behind the wheel of the number 69 car set to start this race at the front of the field. 6.5K iRating racer as well. Some very talented drivers up and down this grid here today. Always love to see a consistent cast of characters here in this series, seeing the likes of Rodemaker, Mikey Pollard. Felix Mo's obviously a long-time veteran here in the Weekend Warriors world, but a lot of these names I recognize from the officials here in the Formula 1600 cars, because that's what they're technically called. Formula 1600 doesn't have that same ring to it as a Formula Ford or an FF. A Formula Ford, that just rolls off the tongue like rich gooey molasses. An FF 1600 sounds like the name of a fax machine.
Yeah, I was just looking, as a matter of fact, as you were talking about that, I'm looking at the top 8 cars. You know, probably a 5K top 8 on average. I mean, so obviously some very, very talented drivers out there. And so this is not just a D-class car for a lot of folks. This is a car they enjoy driving and they enjoy racing. So it doesn't matter if you're just coming up through and you're starting at the bottom of the bottom rung of the formula class, or if you just, if you really enjoy a car, drive it. Doesn't matter what your iRating is.
Yeah, just go out here, have some fun, and have a good race, which is certainly what we're looking forward to here today. We're going to take a look at that starting grid now. We got a full formation lap, so I don't think we'll be in too much of a rush to get all this squared away, thankfully. Those shortened pace laps, that is the greatest source of anxiety that I have nowadays, ever since I got out of school. Jerome Rademacher, though, is going to be starting this race from the pole position. Mikey Pollard set to join him on the front row. Right behind those racers, we'll find Felix Amoes in third, and your Masters pole sitter of Alan DeGassis P5 will find the number 5 of Edward Buchanan. Alongside him will be Wolveronio Antonio Reese in beat number 6. Your money will start in 7th, completing a very star-studded pack of Masters racers inside the top 10. He'll be the last of the Masters competitors inside the top 10, with Jay Ray starting alongside him in P8. In Spec 2, it'll be an all-Spec 2 row number 5, with Mr. Wilkie starting this race in P9, the 777, and Jason Chen joining him, rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, five Spec 1s, 3 Masters, and 2 Spec 2s in the top 10. It's a pretty good, pretty diverse mix. Kevin Adrian starts in 11th, inside of row 6. Michael McConnell on the outside of row 6 in P12. 8 Allen, Spec 2 winner last week, starts in 13th. Peter Maddox in 14th. Masters driver Andrew Love starting in 15th. Stevie Ray, the boss here at the Weekend Warrior, starting in 16th. Jeff Wupker starting in 17th. Jim Brewster in 18th. Lars Tihus in 19th. Nate Himmelsbach in P20. John Tom starting in 21st. Todd Shuey in 22nd. And rounding out your grid today, Russ Tilker will start in 23rd.
So those are your starters here for this 40-minute long race, which is set to be a barn burner in more ways than one. It's going to be exciting. These drivers, though, are going to have their tires burning as soon as they start to roll. 125 degrees is the current track temperature. I'm pretty sure that is just about the temperature needed for a medium rare steak. So I think it would be a rare to blue steak at 125. It's been a little while since I was in culinary arts back in high school, but that is still insane. If you have to say that the track temperatures are about as much as you need to be able to enjoy a piece of beef, then chances are it's rather toasty.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've been in 125 degree air temps before. It's not a pleasant experience, I'm just going to tell you. So the inside of that cockpit of the car is going to be very, very hot for these drivers. Obviously, most of these drivers are in air conditioning in their homes, so luckily they don't have to experience that. But yeah, it's going to definitely make for a greasy track. It's going to make that the off tracks even more prevalent, so we'll have to keep an eye on that as they're trying to keep the momentum up in these cars to try and make the fastest lap possible. So we may actually see a couple of drive-throughs through this race. Anybody ends up in trouble here during the course of the event.
And of course here, as is the usual case in the Weekend Warriors world, 18x is the disqualification limit, and you pick up a drive-through at 13x. One fast repair allotted to these racers, and with the challenges that lap 1 faces here at the Glen, would not be too surprised if we see some driver have some sort of aerial acrobatics. And touching on another thing as well that may contribute to any sort of chaos we see here on the first lap, I don't really mention this practically at all, but the track conditions in reference to not the temperature, but actually the state of this racetrack. So heading into this, the track will be rubbered in, and there won't be any marbles and dust on the outside either from practice qualifying. That doesn't carry over. However, the usage of the track does. So it is going to be a rather all-right amount of grip that these racers will have, which can be a double-edged sword. You'll feel confident, but sometimes overconfidence can be a killer.
Yeah, exactly. Take it down into a corner too hard, especially at the early part of the race as the tires are just coming up to temp. will cause issues. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully we'll get through the once we get through the bus stop. I think of the first lap, and everybody's clean. I think we'll have a good race. But that first lap is always a bit treacherous.
And should be noted right before we grab the green flag here that today's broadcast of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors here on Slow Motion Broadcasting is brought to you by an anonymous Weekend Warriors member. Whoever you are, thank you very much. We appreciate making these broadcasts possible. I always enjoy covering the Weekend Warriors. It's absolutely fun just to let my hair down here on these Sundays. Doubly so considering I was on the Spot 24 broadcast on Race Spot for 9 hours yesterday. Yes, I will complain about that because I'm a baby. But no, there's going to be some fun here. It's a ring in the weekend. Have a little bit of fun here on this summer afternoon. We're in the air conditioning here in the broadcast booth. These drivers are in air fryers out here. And let's see how it shakes out here for round number 4 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors as a green flag's out and the drivers are on their way. Looking like a pretty good start for Jerome Rademacher. He'll try and lead them comfortably down into turn number 1. That's a good start from Samoa's as well. Gets the jump on Pollard. Side by side and 3 wise. They head their way down the hill off into turn number 1 for the first time. It's Rademacher leading. However, they're still side by side racing all throughout this field.
Yep, so far so good. Everybody's kind of worked their way through. We're still in the S's here, so we'll have to keep an eye out. It's always a little bit dangerous as the cars are trying to situate themselves, get them single file. Looks like we've accomplished it. Yeah, that's it. Everybody through. We'll come down to the bus stop for the first time.
They made it through the first few turns, but now that we get into the bus stop, this is the huge choke point. These drivers need to take it easy, walk around this section of the track, basically like they're walking on eggshells on a landmine field. It is not a good situation heading off through there at the very start. It's gotten off to a very good start, though, for Jerome Rademacher. He still leads over Mikey Pollard, who just got that jump on Felix Samoas. The top 7 remain unchanged. The hard charger at this moment is split between everybody who's made up only 1 spot, but as we head our way into the boot section, this may be when we start to see some mistakes bring up. This section, super tough to nail down, especially on a hot and greasy racetrack with tires that are both going to be very happy and very sad at the same time.
Yeah, at least I think the tricky part about Watkins, it's not necessarily the most technical track in the world, but there seems like there's elevation in a lot of our corners. So a lot of the braking zones, you're either going uphill or downhill, and that just makes these cars, and we're going to get through turn 9. Let's make sure it makes it through here safely. Looks like we've got it done just about. Yep, looks good. That's one trip through turn 9 successfully. No damage to anybody. And so far, a really clean race, and we'll hopefully stay like this for the next 40 minutes.
Smooth way to complete lap number 1. Everybody made it through. No real casualties as a result of all that. And the biggest gap we've got throughout the entirety of this field is only 9/10 of a second. Jerome Rademacher leads over Mikey Pollard. Felix Samoa is completing her podium. Alan DeGas is top running of the Masters competitors at the present moment, with Josh Wilkie currently leading in Spec 2. Not a great start for Jason Shen. He's dropped down into P11, so not a fantastic start from him as two Spec 1 racers, I should say, in the form of Jay Ray and Kevin Adrian, currently splitting himself and Wilkie as side by side between Rademacher and Pollard. Pollard looking to try and make something work around the outside into the bus stop chicane, and look at Samoa's maybe got to try and pounce as well. Rademacher got to continue to lead this race as that's a huge sideways snap. Contact being made off into the wall. 2 cars go, 4 cars go. Everybody's going to stack up into that. We had a smooth run, but it ends in tears. That was DeGassis at the epicenter of all that. I think he got screwed up on the curve, and York Monty got a piece of that action along with the likes of Jay Ray, and I think Kevin Adrian got a piece of that drama as well, as side by side between Pollard and Rademacher, they head their way off through the boot section down into turn number 7 for the second time in this race, now with some casualties currently down pit lane.
Yeah, it looked like DeGassis, I think you had it just right. It was like DeGassis got a little loose here as we're going to get the replay coming down here. We've got York Monty on board. So we're going to make our run down here into the bus stop. Somebody with a move down to the inside. That was okay. Alan DeGassis, you can see him out wide. And, oh, there he comes around. Nowhere for Monty to go. Yeah, just that's the thing about those curbs there is there's a preferred way of doing it. And if you get that wrong, as you see somebody, I think that was the third place car, Samoa's, maybe checked up just a little bit. That maybe caught DeGassis out. and then of course the gas is into the curbs and then spinning and then into the wall, into Monty, and then into the wall. So tough day for those two Masters drivers.
That's usually how it rolls there, which is such a shame. You have a driver that gets stacked up and bang into the wall. That right there was Kevin Adrian coming in like a bat out of hell, heading his way off through that chicane. Not sure who it was. I believe it was Jay Ray. Yes, it was Jay Ray. It's right on board with him in the 12. You can see that drama go on. Monty gets cleared out and bang. That was a huge bit of contact. Jay Ray, nothing really he could have done. I will say, I'm not really sure about that from Kevin Adrian, just coming in, barreling that quickly. He'll definitely be regretting that maneuver there. Both of those drivers have made that call to come down pit lane. Monty out of the race. DeGassis has had to tow. Major damage on all of those race cars involved in that drama, but back up at the front, Mikey Pollard leads this race over Jerome Rademacher. Felix Samoa rounds out your podium. Antonio Reese, your current Masters leader. But that battle in Spec 2 is just an absolute show of flames. You've got Josh Wilkie, Jason Chen, and Aid Allen all running nose to tail.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a natural gap now between fourth and fifth from the incident earlier, as we're on board here with a little bit of a replay. And this is Lars Tiehaus. I believe I've had it corrected for me as they make the way too wide and just backs out a little bit. It looks like there's a battle with Stevie Ray. Oh, too much of that curb. Oh yeah, way too much of that third curb there in the bus stop, and you can see the car just jumping off the ground. And then once you hit the ground, there's really nothing you can do about it. Just straight into the wall.
You know, I was going to say a little bit earlier on in this broadcast, and I didn't actually get the opportunity to say it, which I think may have been a blessing in disguise, or possibly a telekinesis commentator's jinx. I thought it into imagination, thinking about how these Formula Ford cars, probably the best open wheel cars in terms of running over curbs here on the iRacing platform. I mean, that's not really saying much. It's like saying, what would you rather lock a newborn baby into a phone booth with? An angry orangutan or an angry chimpanzee? Neither are good options, but you know, one may be a little bit better than the other.
Yeah, it's you're right, and these unfortunately the drivers have identified that the fast way around the track. We're on board with Todd Shuey. This is the tricky turn 9. Is he gonna over rotate here? Yes, he is indeed. The curb's on the outside. That is one of the downfalls of turn 9. Is you try and get back on the throttle on those curbs on the outside of 9 on the exit, and you end up pointed into the opposite wall. It doesn't matter what car you're in. That you can do that in any car here at this track. It's just natural, and that's just one of those things that you just kind of catch a little bit of the grass. Next thing you know, you're looped.
It's unfortunate there. This track is one that could really punish you if you have some sort of moment. You got grass runoff areas that don't really give too much, even though iRacing did a fantastic job reworking the... Oh, that's not going to work at all. That's Wilkie and Buchanan. Buchanan pitched into a spin. As soon as we saw that, I was like, oh, that's not going to work. And sure enough, it didn't. Buchanan, I am absolutely amazed. It doesn't look like that car is ready for the scrap heap. I think the front may have gone hammered in ever so slightly, basically stubbed his toe, stubbed his nose on the front end, the contact being made. He kept it out of the barrier. God, I can't say God bless America because he's Canadian. They're both are, in fact.
Yeah, absolutely. Canadian on Canadian crime. It looked like Buchanan was offline. I think he maybe just missed his entry. And had slowed down a little bit too much, and I don't think Josh caught that quick enough. So you get the nose to tail contact, and you got a great job by Buchanan to not end up in the wall. Manages to catch it on the curbs and bring it off the wall and can continue on, but obviously lost many positions in that process.
Yeah, so bad moment for him, as a good moment for Nate Himmelsbach. He's just managed to jump his way up into the top 10 with a move on Jeff Wubker. He also just set the fifth lap of the race last time by, and he's up 10 spots. So Nate Himmelsbach, I don't think we've mentioned him at all throughout this show outside of going over the starting grid. He's a man on a mission at the present moment, knowing my luck that he's about to get struck by a falling meteorite in about 5 seconds time. But hey, it was good while it lasted.
Yeah, as we saw that with the long time friends of Andrew Love and Jim Brewster battling coming out of turn one. So we see Aid Allen just using every inch of everything that's not grass to try and get that car through the bus stop, and managed to do it successfully. But he's got Peter Maddox right behind him and is putting a lot of pressure on him. Himmelsbach, great run. That wasn't just a couple of hundredths. That was a half second faster than the fastest lap of the race thus far. That was a great run by Himmelsbach on that last lap.
As we take a look in a moment involving Todd Shuey in the number 24 car, that's down into turn number 8 of the heel, and it's my favorite corner in the world, turn number 9. And let's see the challenge through here. There is no good line heading all through that turn corner. I tried to merge them together and said corner. There is no good line heading through that corner. There is only the least terrible.
It's it. Yeah, it's just the nature of the track configuration is it's kind of a mixed cambered corner. I think there is a kind of a pocket. If you keep it tight to the curb, you can generally get through there pretty well. You don't get off into that change in camber from the NASCAR straight or the Cup straight that gets joined on. But once again, it's about speed management, some trail braking involved, and trying to keep it tight to the curb, but not on the curb because that kicks you back out, and then getting back on the throttle in the proper time. It's one of those. I could run 1,000 laps here, and then on the 1,001st, just absolutely bend it there. It's just one of those things with that corner that you have to just be prepared for.
I will say, if I ran through there 1,000 times, I would get it right at least once. Maybe twice if it was really good. Like I got my prerequisite 10 hours of sleep. I was just able to get myself some good rest, and I was finally able to master turn number 9. As long as I've been driving around that track. Driving around this track, I should say, driving around that turn, I don't think I've ever gone through there thinking, you know what? I think I've got it down pat. I don't think that is a sentence has never been said out of my mouth coming out of turn number 9. I think I ended up getting my my job in broadcasting ranting about one of the corners at Okayama to a former broadcasting boss. I could have gone on for about 15 more minutes if he hadn't shut me up and just given me the job there on the spot. I think he mainly did that out of pity, which I can't necessarily blame him for. Side by side with Ada Allen and Peter Maddox as they head their way off into my favorite corner in the whole wide world. Oh boy, that could have ended in disaster. Nearly front left to rear right contact. Thankfully, they get through there clean with Aid Allen jumping his way up into 7th, keeping that Spec 2 fight between himself, Wilkie, and Chen alive.
Yep, they're definitely still battling hard there. And like I said, we got that natural gap because of the incident with the gases. So top 4 separated by 2.5 seconds over Wilkie and P5. And then he's got a murderer's row behind him with Chen, Allen, Maddox, McConnell, Himmelsbach, who's still setting fast laps, Jim Brewster, and Jeff Whooper is as we see Stevie Ray and Andrew Love coming into the pit. So the pit cycle has now started at the 12.5 minute mark here in this race. So looks like around the 28, 29 minute mark we'll be clearing the end of the pit cycle as these cars, because they're on throttle so much here, I don't think I don't think you're going to get quite the mileage you would at other tracks, because I think you're pretty much running almost flat out here for most of the lap.
As Samoas has been able to jump up into the race lead. So the game of leapfrog at the front of the field still very much on between the top 4 involved in their own pack as it stands presently. Samoas, Pollard, Rodemaker, and Antonio Reese round out the front group of this field. Reese, your current Masters leader presently, as I think there may have been a swapperoo involving Nate Himmelsbach and Michael McConnell. Yeah, Himmelsbach up now 11 spots from where he started in this race. So not over yet there. McConnell tried to wheel down the inside on the exit of the toe, heading up the hill through a turn which is a very unique ride. It's an uphill hairpin that's a bit on the open end, and even in these Formula 4s, which can be driving around not very smoothly, to say the very least, that is still a section where you can really start to scrap and claw, which is just makes it so fun to drive around.
Yeah, you get a good exit out of that corner, and you can get a good run down the sole of the boot, as I like to call it, and will give you a good opportunity to make a pass into the heel. As you see, just cars still just the car coming in. That's Mois in the pits, so he's going to come in and run the undercut strategy today. So he's in for his pit stop as Mikey Pollard retakes the lead with Rodemaker in second, Reese in third, and Wilkie in fourth.
And, one thing that I don't think we've talked about all throughout the show up to this point, I was just going to raise how Felix Samoas is one of only 2 drivers to win up to this point. Daniel Tufts isn't here. I mean, there's probably a good reason for that. Spot 24 and all that jazz. He was probably participating in that. But still, rather interesting. That may be a big swing of momentum in the championship. Points is side by side with Rodemaker and Pollard down that backstretch off into the bus stop chicane. And there's the move from Rodemaker to jump his way back up into the lead. They have a big curb whack, though. Not going to help out his cause too much. The curbs through there, I feel like if they were a foot higher, it would be prime jump material.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Definitely would be. As I'm watching these guys fight, the one that I'm kind of starting to pay a little more attention to is Antonio Reese. He's not really doing a lot of scrapping. I think he's back in that P3 position and just maybe doing a little bit of fuel saving. He's obviously got the speed here capable of winning this race. So that might be one we have to watch out for as Chin gets by Wilkie to take the Spec 2 lead and fourth overall. That gap back to that second group is now 3.2 seconds from Reese to Chin. So we'll see if these guys can stay in line and maybe make up some of that gap. But that lead pack is quick.
And a lot of these racers still setting in some quick lap times, which I'm a little bit surprised about, if I am being brutally honest. I was expecting this race to be one absolutely chock full of challenges. I'm not saying it won't be still. But I'm honestly a bit surprised that these drivers are being able to cope with the track conditions as well as they are. Track temperature is still at a... oh my. That had to have been a bump. Had to have been contact with himself and Antonio Reese heading through the final turn. I apologize to anyone who I deafened with my untimely yodeling there. But can you necessarily blame me? That's contact that would be terrifying in all sorts of cars, let alone open wheelers, where a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact will end in tears. Holy cow.
I don't think he intended to go into the pits. I think he just maybe was losing the rear of the car coming to that final corner and then got the bump in the back from Reese and said, oh, I'm headed that way. I might as well go ahead and pit now. We managed to get the car slowed down, I believe. Let's see. Yep, he's out, so he did not get a speed entry penalty. So that's good news for him. And so we'll continue on. And we hearing from Guido, the producer of that Buchanan has a meatball flag. So obviously contact somewhere that seems to be terminal because he's already been to the pits. And so now, or already had issues, so now a meatball to add to that. So very unfortunate for Buchanan.
Yeah, that's a shame there. Actually, looking through right now, it's a tough moment for Buchanan. I wasn't going to say it. I'm looking through right now on the entries list on iRacing, and I don't see the yellow center of the meatball flag, so I think it is just a flat black flag for Ed Buchanan. That's a shame, though. It's very easy to pick up pit lane penalties, doubly so considering how challenging that pit entry is. And plus, in cars that do not have a pit lane speed limiter, you really have to be on the ball in order to not have any sort of pit penalty related drama, which can be a huge, giant setback in these races.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. As then as you're coming through down pit road, you start dropping off the hill there, and so if you don't have that, you just naturally pick up speeds. You have to be very careful if you're kind of pushing the edge of the pit lane speed. and you start dropping down the hill, you might pick up a mile or two per hour, and the next thing you know, you're going to get that speeding on exit, which I'm not really sure if it's on entry or exit. All we know is he's got the black flag, so he'll have to come in and serve that, and we'll see what happens if that's a drive-through or if it's a stop and hold for any amount of time.
As Nate Himmelsbach has made the call to come down pit lane, so his charge will be slightly stopped, at least for now, as we take a look at a moment involving Stevie Ray down into my favorite corner in the world, and into the wall. I wonder if that was some sort of hardware failure, potentially, because it looked like he went into that turn with a whole lot of speed. Major damage on that car. You can see that front right tire completely broken off. I don't think it was the only wheel that was screwed up in that car at all, but that was a bizarre moment for Stevie down to turn number 9. Looked like, I'm not really sure.
It just looked, I would agree. Look, he carried too much speed into the corner, and it just could not get the car stopped until he made contact with the barrier.
Yeah, but either way, a messy moment there. Regardless, the drivers are now starting to feel the challenge. You know how I said that they're coping with it quite well. You can take what I said, throw it out the window. I don't know what that pronunciation. Winder.
Are you from Alabama too?
It's funny. I used to have. No, I say used to have. I still have some family down in Florida. After I got into this broadcasting stuff, my dad told them that I landed myself in prison because me being in prison was less embarrassing than me being a commentator. So never really spoken to them in many, many moons. But they're down in Florida, and I haven't visited them in many, many moons. But I don't know why, despite the fact I rarely have ever been down south, I can still pull off an okay southern accent. I have no idea how that came out, and that wasn't even part of my old speech impediment either. I used to say window. I sounded like an infant when I said window as a kid, but, you know, I'll still be able to say it. As Antonio Reese, Peter Maddox, and Mike McConnell have come down pit lane, and the quote was going to be, you know how I said that these drivers were coping with the challenge well? Well, you can take that, throw it out the window directly into a shredder, and throw that shredder into a wood chipper.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's you can see the things are breaking apart as we're having more contact, and cars with pitting and things like that. As we're on board here with Josh Wilkie, who's back in front of Chin. Actually, Allen is in front of Chin also. So Josh inheriting P2 as the lead group is starting to pit, and we've got only Rodemaker back out in front. Out by himself, 3.2 seconds over Wilkie, 8 Allen, Chin right there behind. So still that Spec 2 battle continues on. Those cars separated by 0.6 of a second. Jim Brewster's worked his way up to P5, having himself quite a good run before he has to come in for the pits. But Jim, love Jim, and he always does a really good job of this track. He was one of these tracks that I think it's a lot of it because I think it's one of those tracks that everybody's familiar with because it's used so often for so many different types of racing here in iRacing, formula, road cars, multi-class. So it just doesn't matter. We'll run at Watkins, Glen, and anything. Give us a box car, and we'll run it there too. So it's I think that helps A, make the racing close, and then B, you get the older guys showing up a little better because of the more experience they have.
Hearing as well that despite coming in for a early stop, it was a rather short one for Felix Samoas. Looking at it right now, 43.3 seconds down pit lane, which is a bit on the shorter end compared to most who have spent around about the high 40s, 47, 48, 49s, and even low 50s in some cases, and spent 12.1 seconds stopped in the pit stall altogether. So Felix Samoas may potentially be a candidate for the Thompson Trophy, which, it took me a little while to talk about the Thompson Trophy here on these Weekend Warriors broadcasts because I felt a little bit bad. We got a side-by-side fight with Josh Wilkie and 8 Allen down into the chicane, and it looks like they will remain single file. But no, I always felt a little bit bad mentioning the Thompson Trophy on these Weekend Warrior shows because I just kind of felt bad. Adam's a fantastic guy. I didn't want to rub salt into wounds, even though I was the one that was commentating that race with Josh when he ran out of fuel in that Formula V race a couple of seasons ago. So I always felt bad about it, doing it here on slow motion broadcasting. So that's exactly why yesterday during the Spa 24 on the iRacing channel, I mentioned the Thompson Trophy.
Yeah, Adam is a great guy, but he'll be the first one to wear that as a badge of honor. Uh, so it's I'm sure he gets a kick out of it every time he hears it. But yeah, it's Samoa's 2 seconds quicker than the next fastest car on his stop. So definitely pushing the envelope on fuel. And so we'll see, because you never can tell the way these races end up. As far as the timing coming down to the start finish line, it seems like they're always within seconds of having to do one extra lap. So we'll see if that makes a difference today, as we see Wilkie coming into the pits. Very early move down to the pit entry line. Good way to indicate that you're going to come down and take your pit stop. That lets the guys work their way around you on the outside. And now Allen taking over in P2. Chin up to third, Brewster in fourth, and John Toms will end up in P5. And once he works his way around the pit area.
Yeah, so these pit stops still continuing. One thing that I always like is a race where it's not just a massive clump of drivers coming down pit lane together. There's breaking out the thesaurus to bring out the word clump on the air, which is always funny to say in a broadcast. Always clump, but the clump of drivers coming down pit lane. Not really seeing that this week. It's just a slow trickle of drivers making that call to come down pit lane. Just seeing 1 or 2, maybe even 3 come in every single lap. It's been going on now, these pit stops, for a matter of the past, I'd say, about 14-ish minutes. We first saw the pit stops around 12.5 minutes into this race. As don't tell me I've thrown a very bad commentator shinks towards Nate Himmelsbach. It was bound to happen after I complimented him being a hard charger in this race, making his way up 9 to, I think it was 10 spots a little bit earlier on. And speaking of 9, it's a spin in turn number 9 for Himmelsbach. So I apologize, Nate. And yeah, I really need to figure out why I throw out the most unfortunate commentator shinxes incidentally doing them. They're not intentional, I swear. But they always follow me. Those falling anvils follow any driver that I mention.
I think the real commentator's curse today was you just mentioning turn 9. I think it's caught a lot of cars out. I think that's the one that's really done it. And yeah, it's just, you can see Himmelsbach just a little wide on entry. And like I said, you have to keep that corner narrow. That's the quick way through there, and probably the safest way through there. And you just can't come at it the same way that you do other corners. And I think that's what catches a lot of people out. You come in with that wide entry and realize you don't have any support out there to help you get the car turned around. You're carrying way more speed than you think that you needed. And as we see Jim Brewster coming into the pits for his stop, I think we're probably two laps or so from having the rest of the field come in. Only 4 cars left out there that haven't pitted yet. Rodemaker, Allen, Chin, and Toms. And so I think we probably got, like I said, 1 or 2 more laps before these final drivers come in.
And we can take one more off that list. John Toms making that call to come down pit lane. Holy cow. We haven't seen a moment like that through turn number 4. We just did. That could have ended in disaster. But Jim Brewster and John Toms, both in the Masters category, making that call to come down pit lane. It will give the Masters lead back to Antonio Reese, who just set his personal best lap of the race last time by. But these racers who are still out there on the track, trying to find any way in the book to gain a little bit of time. Aid Allen and Jason Chen currently marked in P2 and P3. I'm going to look through, because I am curious what their gap is between themselves and the at one point Spec 2 leader and Spec 2 pole sitter for this race of Mr. Joshua Wilkie. Mr. Wilkie! He's currently classed down in P7 in the 777 car. And I want to see what sort of gap there is at the present moment. I'll also look through on my own to get that information, because I want to see exactly how this will shake out with Aid Allen and Jason Chen's inevitable pit stop.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you as you're working that out that Wilkie's pit stop was slow. In comparison, he was probably 4 or 5 seconds slower than most everybody else who's came down pit road. So I'm not sure if that's going to help. I don't think that's going to help him in this battle that for the Spec 2 win here. We'll just leave it up to find out as we see if it's Rodemaker coming down. He is indeed. He's coming down for his pit stop. So we'll see if Allen and Chin come in as well. Allen looks like he is. Chin is not. He's going to stay out, so he'll get one lap as the leader and be able to get that bonus point if there is one. If not, he'll get the bragging rights of saying, "Hey, I was leading that race at some point in time." During today as he works his way through, and we'll see where Rodemaker comes out in relation to Samoa's. Obviously, Samoa's with a 5-second gap over Pollard right now, and that's really going to dictate how hard he has to push in the late stages of this race. If he's tight on fuel, he doesn't want that gap to get any closer than it already is, as we see Rodemaker's coming out of the pits now. And he being as we see him there coming on pit exit, so he's going to take. He's going to be behind Samoa's by looks like 3 seconds or so. So Samoa's out front all on his own, and so the rest of the cars will now have to play chase.
Talking about that strategy content that we saw involving Josh there as well. The pit stop for him. 52 seconds down pit lane and 20 seconds down the pit stall altogether. If he is running a software, I think the software has failed him. If he's running his own permutations in his head, it'll just go to show you that no one here at Slow Motion Broadcasting can do basic math. Coming up to the final 10 minutes of this race, and we have about 46 laps left to go. Jason Chen still leads over Felix Samoa, Joan Rademacher, and Mikey Pollard. Looks like the battle will really be intense. I wonder, though, how exactly this will all work out for Samoa. Went short on the fuel, but he is a very experienced driver in this series. Don't really see those mistakes go on too much, but if it is a fuel mistake, looks like it may be between Rodemaker and Mikey Pollard for the race. As we take a look at a spin, it was nearly a spin involving Andrew Love going off through the chicane. He rejoins the track and just midway through the carousel. Beautifully safe rejoin there from Andrew, it must be said.
Yeah, well done to hang on to that. There's a couple bumps off the bus stop there that will send the car in the air as well. So great job by Love to just collect that car safely, get it slowed down, come back onto the track without any issues. As we see Chin now taking his pit stop, and so we'll get the final tally here on Allen versus Wilkie versus Chin as he works his way down and in the box now. So he'll be coming out probably the next 5 seconds or so. And we'll see how that relates to the rest of these cars as Rodemaker has closed the gap. Now he's within a second of Felix Samoa's, so that's tightening up. And I noticed that both Pollard and Reese have been setting fast lap after fast lap, trying to make that gap up to those front two cars. Don't know that they're going to have time to get that done.
Yeah, we are getting into crunch time here in this race. The final 10 minutes up and rolling. Everybody's made that call to come down pit lane. Felix Samoa still leads over Jerome Rademacher. Mikey Pollard, though, he dropped down like a rock on that last lap. So not exactly sure what the deal has been for him. But hey, it's still been a good race at the front of the field. Rodemaker and Samoa is going to give us a good battle to talk about, as Rodemaker now holding on to the lead as it stands at the present moment. Samoa is slotted in P2. Antonio Reese, your current Masters leader at the moment, slotted in fourth, as Jason Shen right behind rounds out your top 5 and is your current leader in Spec 2. May end up seeing him seal the deal again, as he don't really have Aid Allen or Josh Wilkie within striking distance. Frankly, it would take a mistake from the 814 driver to see either the 666 or the 777 try and get a move done.
Yes, I think you're absolutely right. Or we get some battling and he gets kind of involved with that P3 and P4 battle. I think as I'm sitting there just kind of reviewing everything, I think that was a strategy called by Samoa's to let Rodemaker get back in front, to allow him to do a bit of fuel saving to get to the end of this race and hopefully have a last lap battle here, because he was off by a second and a half off of the fast laps by Pollard and Reese. Rodemaker's was out lapped, so they don't really have a good number. But I think that was just a smart strategy called by Samoa's, knowing that he was going to be tight on fuel. Said, I need somebody up here cutting the air for me, so that way I can get to the end and maybe battle for that win.
And we've still got to worry about these drivers' strategy calls, whether or not it's going to work out well for these racers or not. I think one thing that will be in the hand of Felix Samoas is the fact that he is staying out here and right in the draft of Jerome Rademacher. So if he is getting a bit of a draft assistance, that may help him out when it comes to the fuel game. But I'm not sure how much it'll help out. That's a bit of a difference to square. Those two drivers spending 1.8 seconds less down pit lane in the case of Felix Samoas compared to Rademacher. As Alan DeGassis has come down pit lane yet again. He pitted in the earlier stages of this race after picking up some major damage on that race car. So the 904 driver making that second call to come down pit lane. No outstanding black flags, although there is a slowdown for Jason Shen, but that won't affect him too much as he still holds on to a fairly comfortable lead in Spec 2. There he is right now, currently occupying the final spot in the top 5. Jeff Wubker and Jim Brewster, your current hard chargers, and part of the reason why Jim Brewster's now in that discussion is because Andrew Love had a moment down into the carousel. He runs wide through the turn and drops down to P11.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew lost several seconds there, just keeping his car off the barrier and getting it through the grass, out of the bus stop through the outer loop, and so it's allowed Brewster running in P9, McConnell running in P10, Wupker running in P8. So that your podium for the Masters right now is Reese, Wupker, and Brewster, which is a bit different than we had to start the race. Obviously, with DeGassis and Monty having issues on that first lap or second lap. So very, very tough day for them as we're on board here with Samoas running in second right behind Rademacher. So they're keeping that close. Looks like the gap is starting to close. Looks like Pollard and Reese are starting to make up time. They're down within 2 seconds to Samoas. So they're slowly but surely gaining time on them. Looked like it was about 3/10 that last lap. So they might have a chance to get up there. We get within about 8 to 9 tenths of a second. They'll get in the draft of those two cars up front, and that gap will close very, very quickly. Oh, as we see, Pollard has dropped down. So maybe he had a slowdown somewhere.
Yeah, so something is going on with Pollard. Not exactly sure what the deal is. I'm looking through at the present moment. I think yeah, not seeing any sort of off-track call from Mikey Pollard, so I guess it must have been a pretty disastrous slowdown, which he can pick up for sure, especially through turn number 1. Let's have a look at here. Was it a slowdown? Yeah, that had to have been a slowdown. You can see him drop down immediately. That was a rather abrupt slowdown. I think he realized, you know what, I'm going to lose down this spot anyway, may as well not even delay it. So he just backed out right off the bat. He's now at risk of losing out on P4 to Jason Shen. The slowdowns heading through turn number 1 here, I would say, are one of the biggest pits of quicksand that you can fall in running here at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, it really is, because you're going to lose, I think it's a 7/10 slowdown coming out of the corner if you don't get back. If you jump the curb, you have a certain length of track that you have to get back across before you get to the curb end. There's a white line that determines that. If you don't, it's a slowdown. And it's going to cost you 7/10, which usually is double that once you get it worked off. And that is not what you want to be doing, is trying to bleed time coming through the S's with a car behind you, because he will not know it, and he will be causing contact with you very, very quickly if you're not careful. So that was a very smart call on Pollard's part. Just slow down, stay off the line, and let Reese go through. Now he can play chase a bit, see if he can get that time back, and they can continue to work their way up. It has stalled Reese out. He's still about 1.9 back from P2, and we're 2 laps to go.
Yeah, 2 to go now here at Watkins Glen, and for Jerome Rademacher, he's still got a lot of pressure right behind. Here's a moment involving Russ Telker in the 260 car as he runs his way through the carousel, down the hill, off into turn number 6, into the boot section. He's going to go this downhill turn, oh so tricky to nail down. It's a sideways snap through the turn. I could really mimic exactly what was going on in that exact moment. Oh no.
Yep, that's pretty much it. Yeah, that's one of those tricky little downhill braking zones, the chute there, turn 6, that you have to be very careful. Obviously, you can see how the car wanted to rotate around more than you want it to. Once again, it's just kind of part and parcel for this track.
Yeah, And looking at the battle up at the front of the field as we continue to follow the driver a little bit farther behind, still giving us some good battles to talk about. We have got them all throughout this field at the moment. This is a three-car pack involving Jim Brewster, Michael McConnell, and Andrew Love. One driver representing all three classes here, so that's pretty awesome to see. Brewster, the Masters racer, McConnell, the Spec 1, and Andrew Love, your Spec 2 racer, all involved in this battle right now. Some lap traffic involved in that racing as well. But up at the front, I wonder if this will now be the time to pounce if you feel like Samoas. He's won out in late race duels before. He's been enjoying the draft for quite some time and has been probably getting that good fuel number. I wonder, though, has he been able to square up that fuel difference? As we're about to take the white this time by, if he goes for the move heading down into the bus stop, we'll know that he was just playing the fuel-saving game. If not, I wonder if he still has enough gas to make it to the end.
Yeah, I don't know, but I noticed that Antonio Reese has closed that gap up almost a second this lap. So he is on a charge, and maybe the front two are not comfortable with their fuel number, and Antonio may have the advantage here as we're starting the last lap.
Run their way through turn number 1. Felix Samoas may decide that now is the time to pounce. Look at both of their lap times, both in the 2:02s. That's not that great. Antonio sang a 2:01 last time by. The entirety of the front 5 really starting to converge in on each other. It was well over 5 seconds a little bit earlier on. Now about 2.5 separates your race leader of Jerome Rademacher and your top running Spec 2 and your final driver inside the top 5 of Jason Shen. Here comes a move potentially from Samoas, not close enough to get that move done down to the chicane side by side with Jason Shen and Mikey Pollard off into the turn. I think Antonio Reese may have something to say about this battle if those drivers really start to trip up. I'm not sure if he has enough time. I'm not sure if Samoas has enough time either. These aren't the biggest draft heavy cars in the world, but there is still some heavy braking zones. Turn 8, you could go for a move into turn number 7. Even through the final few corners, if you're feeling particularly brave, we could see a move like that. I wonder, though, how these drivers are doing. The dive from Samoas into turn number 7. They'll be side by side. Jerome Rademacher going to get washed out to the high side, nearly ends up in the dirt. That'll allow Antonio Reese to close up to this battle as well. 3/10 now between your top 3. Rademacher going to play that defensive game, trying to chase the tail and the draft of Samoas. Around the outside comes Antonio Reese. He's looking for P2. Samoas clears him through the turn, so it's not a challenge for the lead just yet, but Antonio's still there. If Samoas runs out of gas, he would be in the catbird seat to take an overall victory. Samoas runs wide, coming out of turn number 9. That may be a small little trip up. Let's see if Antonio Reese will try and capitalize on that moment. They head their way down to turn number 10 for the final time. A slide from Samoas, still battling right behind Rademacher, dropping down like a rock. He's got to be out of fuel. Samoas, though, going to be powering out of the turn. Doesn't look like that car is sputtering. He's got to come across that start-finish line and take the checkered flag here at Watkins Glen. Well done to those two. Jerome Rademacher going to be kicking himself, running out of gas right towards the end. I think that both of them were struggling for fuel, frankly, with Samoas and Rademacher, but Samoas was able to get that better fuel number. Comes up oh so close is Antonio Reese. And credit where credit's due to Jason Shen. For the second time in 2 days here in the Weekend Warriors after the race in the Formula Vs yesterday, we have a podium comprised of a Spec 1, a Masters, and a Spec 2. As Aid Allen picking up the Thompson Trophy, sputtering across the line, the 666 car running out of fuel, in a race that we were thinking had some strategy content playing prevalent, and it certainly did.
Yeah, absolutely. And what a great battle there at the end. Fuel strategy playing a major role in that, with Rademacher seemingly running out just before the final half of the race. Great move by Samoas to take the lead at the right time. Great charge by Antonio Reese to get up there and just missed getting the overall win to finish in P2. As we see Himmelsbach, could not see the other car there, who that might have been, but obviously wheel-to-wheel contact through the outer loop. And we're hearing John Toms was the other car involved, but that's just some of the close racing we've got. And yeah, so basically, top 3, one from each class. So great racing and all the way around. It's just fantastic battle and lots of strategy to be played out, and lots of people making the right calls and some not so right.
What a race that we had here at Watkins, Glen. I'm not sure who that is trundling their way to a stop on that start finish straight away. I'm not sure if my camera angle is completely synced up there, but I saw a car trundling their way down that start finish straight away. But what a race that we had here at the Glen. Gotta get those results loaded up here in just a few moments time and let you know that at the end of 40 minutes of racing action, it will be the win for Felix Samoas at the end of today. That is a very good result when it comes to that championship point situation. Not a great day for Mikey Pollard in the points as well, finishes in P4, but that'll be win number 2 on the season from Samoas. He finishes right in front of Antonio Reese, who will go for 4 straight in the Masters category, with Jason Chen grabbing his 3rd win in the Spec 2 class thus far this season. Rounding out your podium in 3rd, it'll be Mikey Pollard finishing in 4th. Jerome Rademacher running out of fuel right towards the end will be classed in P5. Josh Wilkie ends up in 6th, P2 of those Spec 2 racers. Still a pretty hard charge from him after starting this race in 9th, but I'm sure he probably wanted that Spec 2 top step instead of P2 in that class. It'll be Jeff Wubker finishing in 7th, and from Jim Brewster in 8th. Michael McConnell will finish in 9th, with Andrew Love rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, all 9 of our podium sitters in the top 10 of that race. What a fantastic race. Peter Maddox finishing in 11th, 8 Allen in 12th. John Toms finishes 13th. Nate Himmelsbach, good run early, finishing in 14th. Russ Telker finishing in 15th. Alan DeGassis in 16th. Jay Ray 17th. Ed Buchanan, rough day at the office for him, finishing in 18th. Stevie Ray 19th. Todd Shuey finishes in P20. Lars Tyhouse finishing in P21. Jorg Monty P22. Kevin Adrian in P23 is I think that's our final finisher of today's race.
So those are your results at the end of round number 4 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warrior season. Felix Samoas is your winner at the end of it all. We got some time for some interviews here. And Charles, I'll let you have the chat with our race winner of Felix Samoas.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's bring Felix in here and we'll have a chat. Felix, congratulations on the win. Looks like you had a fuel call that almost didn't pay off, but you managed to hang on and get the victory.
Yeah, that was the race I saved the most fuel, I believe. The thing is, so the 2 guys in front in the beginning, I mean, I wasn't confident enough on battling with them because, I mean, you saw on lap 2, they decided to go side by side into the bus stop, and that caused mayhem in the field. So I was staying behind, which caused me to save fuel. But then at some point, the car that was in second had a moment at the bus stop. I passed him, and then I noticed that Mikey was saving fuel. I mean, well, not saving fuel, but he was not pushing hard because he wanted someone to go in front and save fuel. So I went in front, and then I started thinking, maybe it's a good idea because I can be quite fast on my own. I could see that in that lap I was in front. I will stop now, and then I will try to do an undercut and see how it goes. Yeah, but the thing is, with the fuel calculator and the laps I spent behind the other cars, it completely messed up the how much fuel to put inside, which, and I ended up to put 1 lap less of fuel. So on the second part of the race after pit stop, I had to save enough fuel for 1 lap. And yeah, it turned out okay because I got out of the pits, and then when Mikey came out, I mean, 6 seconds ahead of me. Behind me. So yeah, I was just saving fuel, but finally I was not losing so much time. And then what's his name? The number 69, I forgot his name. Yeah, he came out. Yeah, exactly. So I stayed behind him, tried to save as much fuel as I could. And I think he was also saving fuel at some point on the last lap. It was the race of who's. It looks like I don't know if you guys know about those races that used to be like many years ago, who could go the longest with the less fuel.
Yeah. So a complete mileage race.
That's how I felt today.
Yeah, that's definitely what we saw up here as well. As we noticed that once you came out of the pits, it's like, yeah, that was pretty short. That was pretty short, and then we saw Rodemaker make up a couple of seconds. So it's like, yeah, I think he just kind of lifted but yeah, but you did a great job, obviously, to get to make the move when you needed to get done. As Rodemaker had to really lift and save just to get it home. But Antonio made it a little interesting there on that last lap. Really tried to put the pressure on you.
Yes, definitely. I think Antonio could have passed. I mean, it was just. I mean, I think it was just okay. Yeah. Second place is good enough. I'm first in Masters and didn't want to risk it. That's what I think. I mean, I don't know, but because my car starts sputtering right before I cross the finish line, so it was right there. Antonio had a bit more fuel, I guess. So, yeah. But most of the race, I was ahead with 5 seconds, and then on the final 3-4 laps, everything happened, and yeah, well for me, I guess.
Well, next week, I believe Ron said we've got Road Atlanta coming up next week for the Formula 4s, which always is a fantastic race. What are your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I ever raced there with this car. I like our Road Atlanta, so I'm looking forward to it. It's another draft track with that back straight. Let's see if I can also get the spec racer. It will be harder. Let's see.
There you go. All right, well, Felix, we'll let you go get ready for that spec racer race, and congratulations. We'll let you get any thanks before you go.
Yeah, as usual, everybody who raced, the guys making sure the league works flawlessly. The anonymous sponsor, huge shout out for the person, and you guys in the commentary booth.
Thank you, Felix. We'll see you. See you in just a few minutes.
Yeah, see you later then. Ciao.
And that right there was Felix Samoas, your race winner at the end of it all here today. And so you've had the opportunity to have a chat with him, Charles. I'm going to drag in Antonio Reese to have a chat with him, our Masters winner and P2 finisher at the end of this race. Antonio, welcome in to the commentary booth, man. P2 at the end of this race, that was oh so close to the end. How was it out there?
Yeah, it was really close. And then Felix was out of fuel on the first few meters. But I was keeping behind because I was afraid the car starts sputtering, so he was losing speed. I was afraid to hit him, so I left some distance, and then I couldn't take advantage of that fuel at the end of the few meters of the finish line.
Yeah, that was a super, super intense finish. We were on the edge of our seat thinking, okay, who's going to be maybe able to make it to the end, who's not? And then you just came in absolute storm towards the end of that race. It was awesome to see. Win number 4 as well in a row here at the start of this season. I don't know what it is with you and these Formula Fords, man, but you just put a clinic on the field in them. How do you like these cars?
I don't know. I have no idea. But for some reason, I like it. I enjoy driving, and the fuel I use the program, a SOT program. Then I know more or less how it works. So I know more or less when to pit and to try. I was finished with a very close fuel, so like 0.1 extra lap. So it was really tight.
Yeah, I can imagine it was.
Hey, Guido.
Hearing from Guido, the new janitor, and his name is Antonio.
Oh, new janitor. No, that's money.
We'll have to come up with. We'll get 2 badges made. One for Jurg and one for you as well, Antonio. Because
all right. Thank you, guys.
The competition thus far this season. Road Atlanta next time out. What are your thoughts heading there for race 5 of the season?
Oh, next week. Road Atlanta is more technical track and a little bit. Well, I don't know exactly. I don't know what to expect from Road Atlanta. It's a track that I never get good races there, so we will see.
Well, certainly looking forward to that race here in 1 week's time, Antonio. We'll let you give any thanks or shouts out before we let you go.
Yeah, for you guys on the broadcast is awesome. You broadcasting the race, and also for the sponsor, and Steve Ray is the number 1 guy, and also for our drivers, our community, and as usual for the viewers, don't forget to like it.
There we go, Antonio. Thank you for joining us here in the commentary booth, and looking forward to
guys.
seeing you out on track there at Road
Yeah,
Atlanta.
hope to see you again. Okay, take care. Thank you.
And that right there was Antonio Reese, your Masters winner at the end of this race. And Charles, we got two options up there in the interview waiting area. Would you like to have a chat with our final podium podium sitter? I can't speak today. English is not my second language. I'm from Philadelphia. Sarcasm is my first language. Actually, no swear words. It's my first language. But we got Jason Chen and Jim Brewster up there in the interview waiting area. So I'll put you on the spot and ask who you want to have a chat with next.
Well, let's give props to our class winner. Let's bring Jason in here, and we can talk with Jimbo in a minute. Jason, class victory today, third overall, so on the overall race podium as well. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, had a really good battle early with Aid Allen and Josh Wilkie, and it looked like pit stops seemed to dictate where you guys came out, but you put a good charge on and was able to, and had enough fuel, that importantly enough, to pick up a couple of spots there at the end.
Yeah. At the start of the race, I was thinking maybe I could gain some positions, because in qualifying, I set my best lap in qualifying, I think, without draft. So I was thinking maybe some of the people in front did their lap with draft. So I was trying to make some moves, but it didn't really work out. So I just decided to try to stay in the draft, and then there was a big crash in front. Was it lap 2? Was it really that early? And yeah, I had to navigate that. I was in voice chat, I was warning. There were a couple of other people in the voice chat, I was warning them that there's a crash. So they're behind. And then what happened after that? I tried. Initially, I battled Wilkie and Allen a bit, and I was even on the voice chat, I was telling Wilkie maybe we could leapfrog, and I tried it on one lap and it didn't work, because even when you from turn 1 onto the bus stop, you can get alongside and get maybe up to half a car ahead maximum, but if the other car doesn't yield, you end up losing time anyway. And even if the other car yields, the half a car length is only maybe half a tenth, or a tenth when you execute it perfectly each lap. So from there, I spent a few laps to decide my strategy. It was is it better to, I didn't want, if we couldn't leapfrog, then I didn't really want to be first in the train, because I prefer to fuel save a little bit.
Yep.
But then if I'm in second, and then the car behind in third is also close behind, then I have to worry about what should I defend into the bus stop, and then you lose so much time. You could even lose the draft to the first guy in the train. So I just decided maybe sitting third is the best. You get double draft, and you can kind of just sit in behind. So it's kind of halfway through the first stint, I decided to just sit in third in the train, mega fuel save, and actually stayed the leader. So I think I fit across the line on barely, basically almost spluttering. Also, I made 15 laps on the first stint. I was looking at the fuel tab. I was doing mental math. So I knew my fuel per lap in clean air, so I was doing mental maths. And I was okay, so I only added 6 liters. Before the race, I was calculating maybe 7 liters. So I saved the liter. So that, and then, because each liter fuel takes 1.5 seconds to add. So, and then I guess I must have had a quick run through the pits, as I was really on the speed limit in the pits the entire time. I actually pulled out, so I came out the pits maybe 3 seconds in front of, I think it was Wilkie. And and then I was well, the cars in front are actually not that far, and then I tried to push and stay with them. And then the final lap was really nervous, because I know how good Mikey Pollard is, and I was I was really focusing 100% on trying to not screw it up. And I was trying to debate whether to try to go for overtakes or not, but ended up settling on going for it, and it worked out. It was on the edge for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So next week we've got Road Atlanta, and I would say that with the you would be there. Is that correct? We'll see you
That's
next week.
the plan. Yeah, planning on
There you go.
being there.
All
Yeah, I
right.
don't think I'll ever finish this high up again. Can't believe it, man.
Yeah, you're having a great.
Well, I'm
you're
gonna
having a
tell my
great
wife
season
this,
so
and
far.
I'm gonna tell my wife this, and she's gonna probably be happy, but also a bit pissed because probably means it's like, damn, you're
Well,
having fun without me.
as a voice of experience, flowers fix a lot of things. I'm just telling you
That's
that.
a good. That's a yeah. I think maybe flowers is in order here.
All right. Well, Jason, congratulations on your class win and your podium overall. And we'll let you get any thanks or shout outs, and then we'll let you go.
Yeah, always thanks to you guys, the commentators, and Guido for the camera work, the production. And I want to give a special shout out this time to my endurance team. We did the spot 24 yesterday and had really good pace. We were looking good for the win at one point, but ended up finishing 12th after a crash. But good team spirit still, good banter. So the team name is Sapphire Sim Sports. So if you're looking for like a chill team, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jason,
That's
congratulations, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you.
And that right there was Jason Chen, our finisher at the end of this race, our final podium finisher, and our winner in Spec 2. But Charles, that was an absolutely fantastic race here at Watkins Glen. But Road Atlanta in 1 week's time, that's going to be a fun one.
Oh, it's going to be a blast. That's such a great racetrack, and these cars, just every time we go there with the Weekend Warriors, it doesn't matter what car we're driving, it's just a battle from start to finish. So really looking forward to it.
Yeah, really looking forward to that race here in 1 week's time, but we got a lot of action to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Basically, it feels like every single day at this point here in the summer on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Coming up later on this afternoon, you'll be able to catch the Round 4 action from the Spec Racer Florida Weekend Warriors at Lime Rock Park. That'll be some fun. XSLR will be running later on this evening at Phillip Island with the GT3s. If I have to see a GT3 car for one more second with the broadcast schedule I've had for this week, I am probably going to riot. Sim Racers group this weekend, this week though, we've got SRG F4 running at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and the F3s running at Fuji, so that'll be some fun action to look forward to. Next week, you'll be able to see the FV Weekend Warriors running at VIR North, and for week 5 action from Ron's Race Nights, we've got the action from the Radical Esports Cup running at Thruxton there for week number 5. That'll be at 9 p.m. You can, of course, check all the other local times and everything by going on here to the Slow Motion Broadcast and clicking that live tab and scrolling through to see what you want to tune in. If you want to tune into all the action and never miss out on anything, happy to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the racing action. But as for this broadcast here, for week number 4 of the Formula Ford Weekend Warriors here at Watkins Glen, that'll do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi doing a wonderful job working the cameras and the graphics in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you all so very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.